Okay, it's now recording. So, welcome to today's class. We'll be going through practical one's memo, last year's practical. So, I'm assuming then the practicals this year they're going to be somewhat similar. If they should be somewhat similar. So, let's get started. So, with the practical one, it the main practical's aim is to familiarize you with the differences between C++ and Java, right? So you're supposed to convert a C++ program into a Java program. So I'm going to take this and then I'm going to extract it. This is it should be under additional files on Eve, right? So there's the C++, this is the C++ files, right? So I'm going to select all of them, and then I'm going to go open them inside Notepad++, right? You can use any text edit of your choice. That's fine. And then close. So let's see. As a error constant. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We have this. Delete. We have that. Traverse. Okay. So it's not really too complicated, right? So let's try to convert the C++ program. The thing is, you guys were supposed to read the slides or read the textbook to familiarize yourself with Java, right? So let's see. Mm, to char to char array creates a char array from a string instance. Okay. So under additional files is a C++ program, right? So you will get a C++ program, provided that the practical one is the same as last year's practical. Convert the text store and text reverse classes and create a main class. The main method and the only main method and only the main method must be placed in the main class. So inside your main class, you should only have one method that should be called main. So that's what they're saying there. Test your Java application against the C++ version to see if they perform the same, right? If it performs the same. So and then they give you some hints here. The string class has two methods, the toChar array and charAt. Basically to get a character, it is a character at a specific index. So yeah, and then you're supposed to create a UML diagram for the classes, right? So let's see. And then there's the bonus if you want to attempt the bonus. So let's get started. Read input from the user, reverse text, then display. Also, it's a what is this? It's a application that reverses text, right? So you enter text and then it reverses the text. So it's like sort of like someone looking in a mirror, right? You get the opposite. So so let's get started. What application am I going to use? Let me use VS Code. VS Code, the thing is, if I use Notepad++, it's too plain. It's too mundane. I do not like Notepad++ like that. Unless if you do a few tweaks, right? You upgrade your Notepad++, then it might be a bit better. You can somewhat make it a bit of a complicated text editor. You can do that. Advanced, I mean, you can make it somewhat of an advanced text editor. You can, or you cannot, that's up to you. So let me see. So where am I going to store this project? Let me create its own folder, right? So I'm gonna say folder, computer science, to a 2025 practical practical memos, right? So this is where I'm gonna store everything. So I'm gonna create a folder here. Remember, your folder is supposed to have your initials, right? And your student number and the module you're doing and the year and all of that. Follow the structure in the structure that was stated in your practical. So if you look at this practical, there's the structure over here. So I'm not a student, so I don't have to follow that. I'm just gonna give it my any name that I feel like giving it. So I'm going to call it practical one memo, right? And since I'm gonna be working with batch files, make sure you don't put any spaces between the words or the numbers. That's why I'm putting a hyphen. You can put a hyphen or an underscore. Just no, don't put spaces. That complicates things. So if you check here, okay, let me, okay, Windows has changed a lot of stuff. Yeah, Windows, yeah, this now I have to zoom in another way. Isn't there a shortcut? Press the Windows key plus the plus sign to turn on magnifier. Okay, so let me use the shortcut. So if you check, come on. So if you check the way I've named my practical, right? There's no space, there's a hyphen. You can use an underscore, that's up to you, or any, but I prefer it's preferable to use an underscore because if you check your practical requirements, they told you to use, I think, an underscore. Yeah, you guys are supposed to use underscores. So you must do that. So me, I'm just gonna do it this way. So within this practical one memo folder, that's where I need to do what we call packaging. I need to create a package, which is basically folders within folders. So they say place the relevant classes into the axi.csc to a package, which means that if you remember the previous practical, that's if you watched, if you cared enough to watch. So you need to have the axi folder, and then within the axi folder, we're going to have csc to a folder. So let's do that. So I'm going to say new folder and then axi folder. And then within the axi folder, I'm going to have csc to a folder. And then within the csc to a folder, that's when I'm going to have all of these folders that are required in every practical. Even if they're empty folders, just put them. So I'm going to need bin, docs. So let's start with bin. And then docs folder, and then source folder for SRC. SRC stands for source. It's a source whereby you put in your source code, right? Not source as in like you're cooking. Don't don't confuse that. So we have data and lib. And then data, that's where when you're doing file handling, that's where you're gonna put the files inside the data folder. And then if you have jar files, you'll get to understand jar files when you get there. If you have jar files, then you're going to put them inside the lib folder. So let's go back to the practical, and then that's pretty much all we have to do. And then docs folder, that's where you're going to put in our batch file, right? And seems like you guys are also not provided with the batch file. Yeah, even in this tutorial, even in this practical, you're not given the batch file. Oh, I forgot to mention something very important. The main class does not need to be in a package, right? That's it is totally up to you whether you want to put it in a package or not. So let me think. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, but then it doesn't need to be in a package. That's basically what they mean. Oh, okay, I think I'm doing it. No, let me just double check something. Duh, 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 duh. Yeah, I think I'm doing the wrong structure. Yeah, I think I'm structuring my folders the wrong way. Yeah, inside source folder, that's where you're supposed to have package. Yeah, I'm doing it the wrong way. Yeah. So sorry about that. I'm supposed to copy this. Thing is, they didn't say, but you're supposed to have these folders inside here, and then the packages, right? They're supposed to go inside the source folder like this, right? So this is the correct structure. So the correct structure is like this. You're gonna have your folder, right, named using your student number, surname, initials, all of that. And then within that folder, you're gonna have all those folders: bin, data, docs, lib, and source. And then within the source folder, you're gonna have the packaging, right? And then within the packaging, that's where you're gonna put all the relevant classes. But then within source folder, this is where you put in your main class, right? Within source. It's always the case, right? Especially for ComSci 2A practicals. In the previous video, I made a slight mistake. It's always the case that I totally forgot about the structure. The thing is, I code in a lot of languages. I code in JavaScript, in Golang, C++. I tend to forget some things, so some minor details. So um so this is the correct structure. You're supposed to always have the structure, and then within the source folder, you have your main class, right? And your main class is always not in a package, right? That's why they gave you that hint. I didn't pay attention to it in the previous practical. I think the hint was there. So we have that. So we structure it correctly this time around. That's good. So now we need to create the relevant classes, which is text store and text reverse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open VS Code, and then I'm going to open that folder that I just created, the one with the one for the practical. Okay. Yeah, my throat. So I'm gonna not open file. You're gonna click on open folder because I want to open a whole folder, right? Then I'm gonna go to documents, go to where you've stored that folder, right? Or created the folder. I created mine here inside the practical 2A 2025 practical memos, and then it's this one. And then I'm gonna click select folder. And then after I've clicked select folder, it's gonna ask me, do I trust this folder? And then I'm gonna say yes. And then I can just minimize that. And then there's my files, right? Then I'm gonna have bin, and then I'm gonna have data, blah, blah, blah. So I'm gonna go into source. As you can see, there's many packages, there's many folders, which is the packaging, right? And then, okay, this is kind of confusing. Let's see. So for me, right? Since I'm using VS Code, it's a bit advanced, right? Meaning that as you can see, I can right click here and then create a new file. So from looking at this VS Code, right, what I'm seeing is that you need to make sure you select that folder that you want to create the file in, and then right click, then create. As you can see, it's underlined here. If I click here, the AXI folder is one that's selected. since it's underlined. Then if I click here, that means I'm now inside the CSC2A folder since it's underlined. So be very careful of that. So I want to create the main class inside the source file folder. So I'm gonna right click and say new Java file. You could, okay, for some of you guys who haven't installed the Java extension, you can just say new file. Don't forget to add .java at the end. You can do that. Or to simplify things, just go here and then just search for Java. Go to extensions. This is the extensions icon. Go to Java and then you should install this Java extension language support, right? You should be very careful where you're getting the Java. Let me see. Yeah, you should be very, very careful. Yeah, I think this is the one. Yeah. So download this extension pack for Java, this one. As you can see here, it's from Microsoft, right? And it's verified, meaning that it's legit. So download that specific one, extension pack for Java. You should install everything else, the runner, debugger, all of that. And then go back to your file, and then I'm gonna select source, right click, and then you should now have this new Java, create new Java file option, right? We want to create a class, right? So when I right click and say create a class, and then at the top here, I'm supposed to type in the name of the class. They said the name of the class should be called main, right? And then I'm gonna press enter, and then there we go. You see that it has created the main class for me, right? So all you have to do is just type in the name of the class that you want to create. And then we have Axie, blah, blah, all those folders, right? So now, okay, I'm starting not to like this font. So let me change the font quickly. GitHub, dark theme. Mm, no, is it this one? No, it's this one. So I'm starting not to like the theme. So I'm gonna use a different one. The Yonce theme, I starting to look too much for the eyes. Yeah, this is better. So I have created the main class, right? And if you check here, you see that in my folder, there it is. It's not within the package, it's outside the package. Should be very careful. It should be outside the package. And then we have what classes do we need to create? Text store and text reverse. So let's create those. And they should be within the CSC2A folder. So make sure the CSC2A is underlined, right? And then right click, then new Java file, and then class, text store, enter. As you can see, it's going to put package at the top to show you that it is indeed packaged, right? Which is just a fancy way of saying a folder. So, and I'm going to create another class called text reverse, right? And then there we go. And then that's pretty much all we have to create, right? In terms of packaging and classes and everything. Well, the batch file, I'm going to edit later. So there's everything here. So we're good to go. So let's go to our code now. It's up to you which part you want to start with, right? That's totally up to you. So I'm going to let's start with text store, right? So there's text store. We need to create a class. We already have a class. And then we need to create three types of constructors. And in Java, right, there's no such thing as, okay, you can, but then there's no such thing as a pointer in Java, right? It is there under the hood, but it's not there like you can't see it with the naked eye. It's hidden. So you don't basically in Java you don't manage pointers. So there's no pointers at all in Java. You just write code and then it gets managed for you behind the scenes. There is pointers behind the scenes, but then they are managed for you so that you don't forget to deallocate. There's no dangling pointers and things like that. So everywhere where you see char pointer, you're going to replace that with string. There's a class called string inside Java, which under the hood is implemented using an array of characters, which is in essence the exact same thing as this. So we need to create these three types of constructors. So how do you create a constructor inside? Okay, this is it's supposed to be text store, right? Yeah, text store. And then I'm going to minimize this. You see, you can click here to minimize, to remove this left panel from the view. So there's our code. So how do you create constructors? So this is how you create a constructor. You put in an access modifier. So you want it to be public, right? You want a public constructor because you want the user to access this constructor. So public, and then give the constructor a name, which is the same name as the class because the constructor is a builder, right? So obviously I'm building that class itself or an instance of the class. And then I'm going to have public text store. So this will be the parameterless constructor or the no args constructor. This should be the parameterized constructor. So I need to make use of the string class and pay attention, it's a capital S. So in Java, any type that starts with an uppercase letter, it's a class, it represents a whole class. There's something called primitive types and what are they called? There's primitive types, which is the fundamental types, and then the we have objects, right? So those objects will be created from a class. And how can we tell that that's an object? Because the type starts in uppercase letter. So we have str contents, right? So for the sake of making it look similar, I'm gonna name it the exact same way they've named it. And then I'm gonna also take in an integer int length, like this, right? So that's how you do the constructor. It's not that much of a difference because you see everything that's under here it's public. It's just that in Java you have to put the public right before the constructor. That's the only difference. And in Java, there's no such thing as header files, right? You don't separate and put header files separately and then CPP files separately. You don't do that. It's just one combined file. So that's why you don't see me doing this. That's why you didn't see me put a semicolon here, right? I didn't come here and put a semicolon because that's not allowed. It's not gonna work. You see, it's gonna tell you that it's missing a body, meaning that it expects you to put code. And then things like Javadoc, we'll get to that when we get to that. But then I think there's also marks for comments. You can, yeah, commenting or Javadoc. So you guys need to actually go study. Like I'm telling you guys, everything is there in the textbook. If you read the textbook word for word, there's no way you fail this module. You definitely pass this module with the distinction. You might even get 100 if you're lucky. So just go study. And then we have this, which takes in, so it's a text store. It's a copy constructor, which has a text store, and then it takes in another text store. Mm, you can do that, but then in Java, it's sort of like does it a bit different, right? You see this part here, it does it a bit different. So here we're trying to copy, right? In Java, the thing is, it's a bit too advanced for now, right? Yeah, for now it's a bit too advanced, but you clone, you implement an interface called clonable, right? You basically come here and say implements clonable like this to say that the class or any instance of this class can be cloned, meaning you can make a copy. That's the equivalent to a copy constructor in Java. So for the sake of simplicity, right, since it's one of your first few practicals, and you don't learn about clonable until like, I don't know, Prac 5 or 6, somewhere there, towards the end. That's if you read the textbook. That's why I keep on emphasizing reading the textbook is it's a fundamental thing for this class. You need to do it, whether you like it or not. So public text store, and there's no, like I said, there's no pointers in Java. So things like address of, you don't do that. You don't put that. Why don't you put it? Because when you create you see what happens in Java, right? When you create an instance of a class, that instance or that object actually stores an address. So in a way, you're already doing the address thingy. So you don't have to do it manually. So here I'm going to pass in a text store. You should make it clonable, but for the sake of simplicity, I'm not going to do that. And then original, right? Like this. So it's a text store that takes in another text store. And then Javadoc, how do you make Javadoc? So remember, there's three types of comments. There's the single line comment, which is just 2 forward slashes. And then this is a single line comment, right? Then we have a multi-line comment, whereby it starts with the forward slash and an asterisk, and then followed by another asterisk, and followed by a forward slash. So that means anything between these asterisks, right, is a comment. And so this is a multi-line comment. You see multiple lines. And then the last type of comment is a Javadoc. So the difference between, see, a Javadoc, it's somewhat of a multi-line comment, but it has an extra asterisk. So if you check the multi-line comment, it has 2 asterisks, right? Javadoc has 3. So you'd have to put 3. And then you can see that okay, that's the nice thing about using VS Code, guys. I suggest you guys use VS Code. Because you see with VS Code, it even tells me that, listen, this is a Javadoc comment. I know what you're trying to attempt. And then I could just click here, okay? And then you see it auto-completes for me. And then parem, it means that this is a parameter of this function or of this constructor, and it's called original. Then you can explain what original is by sort of putting like a hyphen there, and then just write a short explanation or description of what it is. So you can say original object to copy from, something like this, right? Simple Javadoc, nothing too complicated. And then I'm going to do the same thing here, and then 2, and then press enter, and then it's going to autocomplete. Here I have 2 parameters. That's why I have 2 at parem. You can say at, and then you see a lot of these are what you call annotations. You'll get to learn more about them. So we have a lot of these annotations. What you guys are most likely going to use is parem and return. That's pretty much it. At return, it's for function. It's for when you're doing Javadoc for a function that returns something. So you have to put at return followed by a description of what the function should return. Don't say it should return this variable. No, explain what does it calculate, what does it give you back, what does it return. That's when you put at return. In this case, I have a constructor which doesn't return anything, not even void. So I don't have to worry about that. And then I put a hyphen there, str contents, the string to store, right? And then I think this should be the length of the string. To be honest, right, remember, this is not, they said you should convert it to Java, right? So you don't actually have to convert this 100%, right? Like copy and paste everything. You have to find a way to make it be Java. So with Java, right? Remember what we talked about. This is an object. So an object has methods, right? So if I was to go to this, right, let me say, go to definition, right? You see, that's the nice thing about, you remember, guys, you guys are no longer first years. So you guys must relax. This is something that you should be very familiar with. So this is documentation. This is you see what I was talking about. This is a class. String is a class. So I'm creating an instance of a string class. And you see there's an array there, byte array, and then what am I looking for again? And then there's the constructor, the default constructor or the no args constructor, then the parameterized constructor, and then what am I looking for again? Yeah, I'm looking for a method. I want to show you that this class, the string class is the length method. So you don't, so that's why I said you need to understand Java. So you don't have to pass that length as an extra parameter. It's not, it's actually a waste of time. Remember C++, okay, I think you can. We'll check, we'll confirm on that because C++ is not a language that you can manipulate strings a lot with it because it's kind of old school. I mean, there is functions for that. Just saying it's not something common. Unlike Java, Java is very flexible. Um, how come I'm not seeing this function? Where is it? Okay, let me scroll really fast like this. Okay, it's not like it's gonna take me a long time, but there's a length function, right? So technically speaking, this length parameter shouldn't be passed. That's if you understand Java. Remember, we're trying to convert it to Java, so I'm gonna remove that length parameter and then only pass the string itself because this is Java. It's no longer C++. So there's quite a lot involved in doing these things. So yeah, you guys have to get used to it. So this is an accessor. So in accessor, you don't have to put things like const, right, in Java. And remember the syntax. So let me put the accessor. So the syntax, you put an accessor modifier first, unlike C++, where you put the access modifier like this, and then you say int. No, in Java, behind every single method or before the name of the method or constructor, you always put the access modifier, whether that's private, protected, or public. You always put it before. So public get this is get length, right? Okay, it should return. Okay, so it should return an integer, right? So int. So it returns an int. So this you should have. So this is the formula or the what is this? The okay, the formula on how to create the method. You put in an access modifier, right? And then space. So I'm gonna put it like this so that, and then a space, and then a return type, and then space, and then name of function. And then remember, there's no semicolon and you implement later. No, in Java, after declaring it, you implement it. There's no header files in Java. And then do we have okay, delegation? And then okay, so there's quite, let me see how far am I now? It's only been 35 minutes. Okay, so that's okay. So let's see. So we're supposed to return the length. Where is the length supposed to come from? Let me do this. Let me check something. Oh, so we have it stored here. So we're gonna need to do that. And so let me also create this function. Um, it's called transform. Okay, so void transform. So it returns a void, meaning that it doesn't return anything. So I'm gonna say public void. Remember, we're following this structure. Void followed by the name of the function, which is transform. Reminds me of transformers. So we have that, and then we have this function called getChar@, which gets a character at a specific index. To be honest, in Java, this is way, way, way easy in Java. So public, it returns a char, right? And then it's called getChar@, which takes in an index. And remember, this is Java. You don't put things like const. Like you don't do that. This is Java. So we get, okay, I'll just call it index, not int index. And then remember, pointers are managed automatically in Java, so you don't have to declare the destructor. There's what we call a garbage collector, things like that, right? So you don't have to worry about managing memory manually. Everything's done for you by Java. You should be happy right now. You should be smiling. You should be like, yeah, this is maximum from main. So yeah, the length, you see this length here, it's not necessary if I'm being honest with you guys. It's not, you shouldn't put the length because in Java, the string class comes with the length function, or a string instance comes with the length function. Then we need to do composition, right? In Java, there's no pointers, right? So we're just going to declare it as it is. So this is what I'm going to call class instances, right? No, not class instance. What is instance variables, right? So I'm gonna have private. What's the first one? Text reverse. So text reverse, and then remember there's no pointers. And then I'm gonna call it R transform. I'm gonna call it the way they've called it. That's fine. And then I'm gonna need a string. Remember, we don't have to create, there's a string class. We don't have to do a whole char array. We could do it, but why would you do that when there's a whole class for a string? I don't have to stress about that. And then the length we get it from the string itself. So the length, this is the length of the input from the user. Hint, this is the maximum from main. So the length we might arbitrary maximum for stack allocation. So the length, to be we might, right? Not necessarily, but we might, right? We might, it's a huge possibility. We might use it, but I honestly don't see where you're gonna use it. Because if you check here, they gave you hints in the practical. The hints, the string class has the following methods, whereby you can convert to a char array and you can get a character at a specific index. So they're hinting that you should use the string class, right? So to make things easier for you. So I don't necessarily have to put in the length and all that. So I'm gonna leave it as it is. So I'm gonna have these two variables, right? Or two instance variables. And then okay, that should be fine. Text restore. Okay, we also have these constants over here. We could create an enum for that, that's not a problem. Let's see. Yeah, we can create an enum for that. Remember, an enum is basically a class full of constants, right? or integer constants. So I'll get back to this. Let's go to the class, to the implementation, I mean. So here the length is going to be 1, and then a new, you create a new char array, and then the contents at 0, initialize the array. Okay, so basically what they're doing here is that if there's nothing, if the length is not given, right, then you just set it to 1. That's basically what they're doing. So here we're just simply gonna do this. So I'm gonna say content is equals to new string, right? Just to initialize it. And I can just make it an empty string, right? Just like they did in this in this C++, this C++ in this C++ tutorial, right? All this code. So I'm gonna do pretty much the same thing, similar but quite a bit, just a little bit different. So contents, create a new string. That shouldn't be too hard to understand. The value of the field is not used. Okay, that doesn't matter. And then R transform, right? So R transform, we need to instantiate it. So it goes to new text reverse, right? And then we've instantiated R transform. And then here we just we're going to copy, right? Like I said, C++ is a bit, you could use a char array, right? You could, but then why, if they, okay, if they wanted you guys to use a char array, look at this. Why would they mention a string class? Because the char array is not, it's a long way of doing things. So in Java, to copy strings, right, is very straightforward. You just simply say str contents is equals to, no, it's contents. I want this contents over here. So contents, and then it takes the value of str contents, the one being passed as a parameter. And then after that, so you see how straightforward it is. You see all of this has been changed into just one line. And then we have R transform instantiate, we need to instantiate it. So R transform is equals to new text reverse, right? Instantiate R transform, which is pretty much, it's just straightforward, right? And then we have a copy constructor in Java, right? You don't, let me think. Okay, we're just copying. Yeah, it shouldn't be. Yeah, you see, the nice thing about Java, I don't have to write all of that. I just write, I just say this is equals to that and then done. So R transform was text store, right? What am I copying? Oh, I'm copying the contents of this of this text store that's being passed into this content that's stored. So I see. So basically I'm gonna copy the contents, the string from this one that's being passed into this contents over here, right? But then in order for us to do that, let me check something. So original dot, the thing is it's not going to be accessible. Yeah, this is not gonna work, but let me show you that it's not gonna work. Okay, it did work. Original dot contents. text store original. Or maybe it's because I'm using, okay, that's fine. But it wasn't supposed to, technically wasn't supposed to work because this is private, right? That's private. But we'll see when it test if it's going to work. But it didn't complain. I don't know whether it's because I'm using VS Code and not Eclipse, but that's fine. It should have complained. It has IntelliSense and linting and all that. So yeah, so all of this over here has been converted into just one simple line. So I used text store that's being passed, and then I took its contents, its string, the string, and then I copied it into this. Done. That's pretty much what you have to do there. And then R transform, we instantiated. So that's pretty much all you have to do. And then to get the length, remember to get to return, to give back something, you need to use the keyword return. So return contents dot length, right? Remember I told you about length. If we look at the documentation, what does it say? It returns the length of this string. The length is equal to the number of Unicode code units in the string. So, like I said, I didn't lie. There's no cap in my rep. So it returns the length of the string. So you need to make sure you have Javadoc. Don't forget to put the Javadoc. So this is pretty much straightforward. You just return the length. And then get char it also returns something, right? So it's gonna return, remember they gave you the hint. You need to use this function called char it, which gets a character or a char at that index. So I'm gonna say contents dot char at which index? At the index that's being passed by the user. And then done. That's literally all you have to do. So the index for the character, and then it returns the character at that index. And then that's pretty much all you have to do here. And then let's look at transform method. That's the only thing that's left. So we just delegate. Basically, we call another transform method within text reverse, right? Oh, we had to check, we had to validate. I forgot about doing this. Remember I talked about the destructor is managed, there's a garbage collector, it's managed automatically by Java, so you don't have to put the destructor at all in your code. So that's the nice thing about Java. So let's fix this. Let's create constants for this, right? And in order to create constants for this, I'm going to create an enum, right? There's something called an enum in Java, or in C++ is also there. So they didn't, if you check, right, it's not really necessary for you to create one. If you checked, it's not really necessary. So I won't do that. What I would do is, let me check. You see, there's many ways to kill a cat, right? There's many ways to approach this. This one, right? I'm gonna approach it this way. So I'm gonna copy this. You see that this is exactly similar, right? So I'm gonna copy this and then come here and then paste it there like this, right? And then I'm gonna say final. Mm, let me see. Yeah, it's a final like this, right? So in Java, to make a constant, you use the keyword final. which basically means this is the final value. It won't ever be changed, right? Final, it's the final value. It won't ever be changed. So we had to use it here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up. Since we're only using it within this class, I'm going to make it private. If we are supposed to use it if we're supposed to use it again, then we'll outside of the class, then we'll change that accordingly. But for now, I'm only supposed to use it within this class. That's the information that I know so far. And then let's see. So we did this. And then to exit, right, you'll see that these things are very similar. To exit, there's also an exit function inside Java. So I'm going to say if index is, okay, let me show you that it's actually very similar. Let me just copy and paste the code to show you that is quite similar. Remember, Java was made because people hated C++. That's why it was made. And there were a lot of errors with C++, and which costed companies billions. So hence, Java was born. And then Java was mainly for, internet related stuff. So yeah. And then the length, remember, we are not storing the length within this class. We get the length from the string itself. So I'm going to say contents dot length to get the length. And then you see the only thing that I'll add inside this code, right? You see that it's exactly the same thing. The only thing that I'll change or add, I won't change or add, it's system dot exit. The exit function is part of the system class in Java. So that's the only slight variation between C++ and Java, or the only unique thing is that I just simply add system dot, but the code is exactly the same. So just keep that in mind. That's why they're trying to get you guys familiar to Java, and that's why they give you this practical, because it's going to make you see the similarities and the differences between Java and C++. So we basically done 100% done with text store class, right? We are 100% done. Everything is done. Yeah. That's literally all you had to do. The problem comes with the batch file. See there, that's where the challenges are going to come. So don't be too relaxed and be like, yeah, this is easy, blah blah blah. Well, just wait and see. So we need to go to text reverse now. So let's go to text reverse. I think text reverse is the simple one. Yeah. So text reverse is a public, and then okay, we haven't done the transform, the delegation yet. That's fine. For now, I want to create this transform, which also has contents. So let's do that. So there's no constructor, right? Yeah, it has no constructor. So I'm gonna say public void transform, which takes in an array, a string, which is basically an array of characters, but then that's fine. And then let's see how it implements it. Hmm. Du- 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 du. And then okay, so we create a temporary array, right? Okay, in C, okay, let me show you. You see Java, right? To be honest, right, you don't have to do all of this. That's what I like about Java. In Java, right? Let me see, does this function return anything? It doesn't, right? So after reversing this, my question is, how will the value be displayed? That's my question. I know how to reverse it, but how would it be displayed? overwrite the original pointer with the reversed. Yeah, this function reverses, but how will we see that it was reversed? That's my question. So you transform it. Oh, and then you get the character. Oh, okay. That's fine. So in Java, right, if I remember very well, I think there's a function called, what is that function called? Oh, it's in Kotlin. Oh no, I think it's in Python. I think I'm thinking about Python. Yeah, I'm thinking about Python. I think Python, is it Python? You see this thing of doing many programming languages. I think it's Python that has a reversed function whereby I just reverse everything within the array, within the string by calling a reverse function. Yeah. So let's see. So let's create a temporary array called reversed. So we have the reversed array and then the original array. So there's the original array and then there's the length. So we're going to create a new temporary array, right? Meaning a new string. So let's create a new string. I'm going to call this reversed, right? Which is going to take okay, let's make it a char array, right? Let's make it an array. I'm gonna choose to approach it this way. I think that's where you're supposed to use this function to char array. Is it? No. This is I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. But let's see. The thing is, there's many ways to solve this. So what I'm trying to do, right? I'm trying to initialize this to take the same length as that. So I think the only plausible thing to do is to do this, make it an array, right? If you check here, okay, here they made it a pointer, blah, blah. Let me check here. And then they still use the pointer. Okay. So what you can do is you can create the array like this, right? And then you just say new char array, and then it takes in the length of contents, right? So there's two ways to create the array. You can put the square brackets there, or you can put the square brackets here. But then I think this is the more accepted form of it. So I'm creating a new char array, right? As you can see, new char. And what is going to be its size? It's going to be the length of this string that I'm passing in. Then I'm going to, and remember what I talked about objects, right? These objects, they store references, addresses. So in a way, it's like a pointer. So that means if I change contents, it'll be changed also on the outside, right? So we've reversed and then let's just pretty much copy and paste. It's exactly the same thing, Java and C++. You'll be shocked. It's exactly the same thing. There's just slight differences, just small differences between the two. So we copy this. So there it is. And then the length, right? We could, okay, to avoid having to repeat myself, right? To keep typing, I'm gonna say int length is equals to this length, right? Then copy, and then put int length here. And then this will be reversed. And then this will be contents, right? Is it contents? Yeah, it's contents. And then remember, we have to use the char_it function, right? If you check here, they told you that you need to use a char_it function to get a character at that specific index. So I'm going to say dot char at, just remove those square brackets and use char_it. So this gets a character at the specific index. And then here it's going to be content. Okay, this part here, right? So there's the reverse string is stored in here, right? In Java, you can simply do this to copy the string. You can just say contents is equals to a new string, right? And then you pass in reversed. You pass in a character array. There is a constructor that allows you see, if you check the documentation, you see this constructor accepts a character array or a char array, of which reversed is indeed a char array. So therefore, this char array will be converted into a string, and then that string gets stored into contents. And then we're basically done with transforming the string. So I hope that made sense, right? So now we have the transform function. Now I'm going to go back into text store. Then I'm going to say r transform dot transform, and I'm going to delegate, right? And call the transform function within the text reverse class. I hope that makes sense. It's pretty much everything inside this C++ code. And then now we need to please enter the text to be reversed. You could, let me see. You could, in a way, force it to have maximum whatever characters. You could do that. That's just up to you, right? You could force it to have maximum, what is this? Maximum, limit the string to have a maximum length. You could do that, right? So whatever they said here, you could do this and then take in that length. Basically do it exactly the same as they did, right? They did in the example. I'm not sure exactly how it's supposed to run, but I'm not sure if they wanted it to run exactly the way that one runs. I think so, but we'll get to we'll get back to this maximum part. You see this one, this is finding creating a char array with a specific maximum. We'll get to that. Then I'm going to create a main method. If you're using VS Code, things are simpler. I just type in main and you see it's already showing me. And then I just either the bottom or the top one, it's fine. Either one is okay. And then I'm just going to press enter and then it auto completes for me. So there's the main method. And then they say that's the only method that should be there inside of your main class. So since we now have that main method, and then now I'm going to ask the user, please enter text to be reversed. So I'm going to remember to get output, right? To output to the user, you will use the system.out.println. So this is what you're going to use to send output to the user. System.out.println. If you check something, it's somewhat similar, right? You see that out there, there's the out. In C++, you just say cout, right? In Java, you say system.out. And then you call the println function. The println function, right? It's like it prints something and then it adds a line at the end. Or it adds, it's like doing this, cout, and then some text, and then end line. So this ln just stands for end line. So that's pretty much what you have to do here. And then I'm gonna say enter the text to be reversed, right? And then this, they should please enter text to be reversed. And then they should enter the text to be reversed. And then we should store it. This reads the line. In C++, this is how you'd read the line, right? So me, how I'm going to read the line is I'm going to use a scanner. So in Java, we use something called a scanner. Scanner, and then instantiate the scanner. And then you should import java.util.scanner, right? And then this scanner, it's supposed to scan something, right? But before we do that, don't forget to free memory resources. Don't forget to close the scanner. So the scanner, you can think of like when you're shopping at Woolworths or Pick n Pay or ShopRite, when they take your item, right, and they scan it, they scan that barcode. So, excuse me, so they scan the barcode for the item. So they are scanning, right? So they say you can think of it in that way, in that essence. So what are we trying to scan? We're trying to scan the user's input. How do we find the input? So remember system.out, it refers to the output. System.in refers to the input. So system.in, it refers to the input. So we are scanning the input, what the user has typed in. Then there's many functions you can call to scan the input. I'm not going to go too much into the scanner because I did explain in the introduction into Java videos that I uploaded. You guys go check that. So we want to scan a line. So we want to scan the line. So I'm going to say so in order I need to store this in a variable. So I'm gonna say string line, and then I'm gonna use my scanner, this object, this instance called scan dot next line, right? So this scans the whole line, right? And then after scanning the whole line, then we create a txt store, a text store. So text store. I'm importing things I shouldn't be importing. And then they call it txt input. So I'm going to call it the same thing. Txt input is goes to text store. Remember, this is Java. You have to say new is goes to new. You have to literally use the keyword new. And then we do not want this constructor. We want the one that's parameterized, which is this one here. I think, let me check. Yeah, we want the one that's parameterized. So I'm going to use that one and then pass in that line that I've read from the user. And then after I've passed in that line, I'm going to call the transform method. And then txt input dot transform, right? And then after I've transformed it, I need to output the reversed array. So I need to output the array, which is basically the same code because I named it the exact same way. Okay, there's not exactly the same code because this is not C++, this is Java. It's going to be a slight variation. So sys out, and then there we go. And then that's it. There it is. So as you can see, there it is. So yeah. So we have this, transform it, and then after transforming, we display to the user. So I'm just gonna add spaces there. You can add comments, that's fine. I'm just too lazy to do that. So I go through, remember the get length and the get char it functions, right? It's these functions that we created. There's get length, and then there's char it. And then that's pretty much all you had to do for this practical. Mm. Okay, let's see. Let me try to run it, right? Let me see. I think that should be everything. Let me try to run it. Let me go here and then let me refresh to make sure that I have the latest version. And then I'm gonna right click and say open in terminal. Remember, we're using the terminal to basically run everything, right? So I'm gonna say Java C to compile main dot Java. And then after compiling main.java, let me try to run main, and then let's enter the text to be reversed, right? So let's do that. So the text to be reversed, let me say, not me running out of names to think. Let me just say this. Okay, it clearly didn't reverse, so it's not 100%. So I think the main issue here, I think, is the transform part. So, or maybe it's, oh no, that's not the main. Mm, okay, let me do this. Let me try to compile again. Java C. Oh, oh, I see. Let me close this and then do this. Oh, it did compile them. Okay, that's fine. I thought it wasn't compiling them, but that's fine. So at least everything runs. So the only thing that we need to fix is the transform. So I'm not sure if now I'll be forced to use the char array, the character array, or not. Let me see. Okay, let's test this. Let me go back here. And then let's test this and see the output. Run anyway, compiling, deleting, blah, blah. Okay, let's say it does work, but I don't know where the other extra characters are coming from. Yeah, that's I don't understand where these characters are coming from. Or maybe I should put, or maybe they they want it to be literally maximum of those characters. Written a line, arbitrary max for stack allocation of the array. I don't see the need of that maximum there because now it's like I'm forced to come up with words that are 15 letters long, the 15 characters long. So let's see let's see what's missing. So we had this. Text store. We have content, right? And then where's transform? There's transform. It just takes in that. And then get char add blah blah. So let me see. Now let's try to debug and see what's missing. I'm not quite sure what's missing because we did follow all the instructions. Unless if maybe it wants me to use a character, a char array. But why use a char array when there is a string? Because there's the string class. So it's not a must for you to use the char array. So let's see. So delegation, let me see. So we have this over here, right? So let me go back to text reverse. So I have a length, right? And then of which the length I get it from the string. And then I have this to, okay, I think the main issue could be here, right? To just double check on that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to output reversed, right? Or I could just output contents itself to see that contents did actually store, but I think it did store, so that shouldn't be an issue. And then I'm going to say new, um, open in terminal, I mean. So I'm going to open in terminal, and then Java C main.java, right? Java, and then Java main. How come okay, so I'm not getting a response because it's supposed to output this. Unless if I didn't refresh. This thing of not refreshing. Okay, let me try again. It should be picking up that. It should be picking it up. So let me compile again, and then Java main to run it, and then yeah, it's not outputting. Something is not right. Let me see here. Oh, they didn't do that. Okay, that's fine. So what's going on with this transform function seems to not work. That's weird. Okay, before we do that, let me fix the output. So I'm gonna go back here. Okay, let me save those changes. And then I'm gonna go back here and then remove this. This should just be print. Then I'm gonna output an end of line character here, just like in the C++ code. You see, the end line is there at the end. And then here I'm just outputting one character at a time. So that's fine. Then get length and then get char at. Okay, that should be fine now. And then okay, let me check something here. Let me do this. I just want to check something real quick. So let me go back to source and then do this and then cut that and then open in terminal. I'm not sure why it's not picking up my other code. So main.java and then Java main. Okay, it's not reversing. Okay, let me do this. Let me run it again. Java C. Um, and then Java main. Okay, it's still not cooperating. Mm, do, 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 do. So that means something is not right. I'm not sure where the issue is because everything seems okay to me. So let me go back here. Mm, do, 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 do. Get chart transform contents dot length. Yeah, from my perspective, everything looks okay. You could here you could say new string, or you can just make it an empty string like this. That's also fine. You can do anything that you'd like. So let me just put in those empty double quotes, empty quotation marks. So let's see. So I set this. Let me try to backtrack and see what could be wrong. So I created this, right? I initialized my contents, taking it from this. So if I go to main, it gets passed here, right? So I'm using this construct, which is this one over here, right? And then I instantiate R transform, and then I call the transform method inside txt store, which is this method over here, which calls the transform, which calls the transform, which calls the transform from the text reverse. And then there's the text reverse, and then there's the transform method. And then I think transforming it should be fine. That shouldn't be an issue. I think the main issue is getting back that value. Okay, so let me try to print again. And then refresh here. And then open in terminal. Wait for it. And then Java C. And then Java main. Okay, it didn't even print. I want to check something here. Let me see. Yeah, still it just doesn't make any difference. So I'm not quite sure where the issue is. This is taking way too much time than I expected. Where's the error here? I don't see an issue. I don't see an error. I don't see any problems here. So why is it not working? Mm. Let me run it again and see what's missing here. Oh, now it's oh, okay, now it's displaying some of the things. Okay, so it does reverse. Like I said, it is reversing. Then why is it getting confused? Um, so let me delete this and then go back here. All right, so I'm gonna do this. So I displayed this part, right? So it does reverse. So it does reverse, but then now it doesn't return what's stored, right? Okay. I think I kind of I think I kind of see the problem here. I think I'm actually forced to use the char array. So let's switch it up. Let's use the char array because I think yeah, the string seems to be not working for some weird reason. The string. But one thing I know about objects that they store references. So if I'm inside text reverse, here should be storing it should be updating the reference. So contents should have a new reference and should work, right? But then for some weird reason it doesn't want to work. So that's fine. Let's stick to a char array, I guess. I guess this thing is stubborn. It doesn't want me to use something else. So, okay, one thing about an array, right, in Java, it also has a length again. So you can say contents, if I'm not mistaken, okay, you can say contents, right, like this, dot length. You can get the length of an array by calling the dot length the array. So there's things like that. So I'm going to do this and then I'm going to say private int length, but it's fine. Let's just do it the way they did it. So let's stick to that and see if that's going to make any difference. It should, I'm pretty sure it should make a difference. So let me do that and then go text to restore and then copy this. So let's set the length to be 1. Right, so length to be 1 and then okay, this is pretty much the same code. Yeah, it's pretty much the same code. So I'm gonna copy this, put it here. Yeah, it's pretty much the same code. Like I said, Java was made after C++ to fix certain things C++ was failing to deal with, right? Or that were causing programmers to have issues, which is, for example, pointers. Programmers didn't like pointers at all. So I'm also gonna copy this. I'm pretty much gonna just do the chat. I wanted to try the string approach. Seems like the string approach, it's refusing to work. So int length, and then str contents, and then it's going to be a char array. I don't have to necessarily pass the length, right? I don't have to because this is Java, but then it's fine. We'll pass the length. It's fine. So I'm gonna say at param int length, this will be length of the char array. And then I think it should work now. And then this you just return contents dot length like this. But there's two ways to do it. You can do it this way, or you just return int length that's stored inside here. And then here I'm gonna pass in int. Okay, there's many ways you can do this. I'm going to choose this approach, or you can just pass in the length. That's up to you. And then here we need to change this to a char array like this. And then int length like this. Do, 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 do. And then I'm gonna delete that. And then change this to an array because now we're actually working with an array. And then I just did this. I think that should, yeah, this should just work. This part where I'm copying everything to that side, and then this should just be dot length, and then this should just be an array because we've changed, we're no longer using a string. So I pretty much made it similar to what we had, and then this will be line dot length. Oh, now I see the two char array that we're talking about. So this practical, they actually wanted you to use a char array. So remember, let's clarify a few things. Remember this textual constructor that I'm calling. It expects a char array and a length. So when you're scanning input, you can only scan in a string. So you'd have to convert the string to a char array by calling the toChar function. That's what they were talking about. Now I see. This is what they were talking about here. So they actually want you to use a char array, not a string. Okay, some string is there, but in terms of the implementation of the class, you had to use a char array because it's an issue of addresses. That's why it wasn't working properly. It's an address issue. So now it should work. So Java C and then Java, and then what else? What am I gonna do? I'm gonna run Java main. Okay, it's still not working. What's the issue now? I did fix it. Yeah, we did fix everything, right? Yeah, we did fix everything. So text reverse, let's see. Okay, it's fine. For the copying part, I'll just copy one by one. That's fine. So I'm just gonna go back here to my code. I'm lazy to type, so I'm just gonna do this and just copy it one by one. Copy the characters one by one. I'm forgetting this is no longer a string. And then this should be content, and then this should be reversed, right? So we're updating this array over here. And then I'm gonna close this and then refresh. Okay, so I think it should work now. I think the main issue is just the copying part. So I'm gonna open in terminal. So well, it forces you to use Java, the character array, not the string. Because if you use the string, you see that you have issues there. So Java main, well, this thing is starting to get on my nerves now. We did pass the char array, everything is fine. Where's the issue now? Okay, the issue is here. But then this is not my main concern here. Okay, let me check something here. Let me say arrays dot to string. Guys, don't worry about what I'm typing right now. This is something you learn a bit later. I'm trying to understand why even after changing it to a char to use a char array, it's still refusing to return the reversed version of the string. It is reversing, but it's refusing to return the reversed version. This is taking way too long. Okay, now it's even refusing to. What's going on now? Now it's entirely refusing to output. Or maybe they're still using the old version. I don't know. Let's see. I think my main issue is it's still, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, now it's waking. It was waking. Okay, my bad. This thing, that's why an IDE is important. You see, it does output, it does reverse now. So the problem is, so you should pay attention to this problem. It seems like it's gonna be a very troublesome problem. So every time you compile, make sure you delete this .class files, right? This Java bytecode, because it might use the old Java bytecode. Yeah, so just make sure you delete that. So yeah, you need to delete that. So yeah, the now it's done. We've converted, everything is fine. So this is the whole practical, right? I'm gonna upload the solution. It's basically the same thing. It's just a few differences here and there, but it's basically the same thing. So there's the code. So it actually wants you to use the char array. You don't have a choice. You have to use the char array. And then we did use the to char array method. So perfect, everything's fine. And then you can also put the limit to be 15 characters. That's up to you. You can do that. That's entirely up to you. But that's gonna be a bit more challenging and unnecessary. So we have converted the code. That's fine. So we're basically done with this. Let me delete it again and then refresh and then try to run it again and see if it's still working. Java C main.java. Yeah, it's still working. So this is the solution. It works, but then always delete the class thingy, the class files, the Java bytecode. So now we need to make a batch file, right? And the batch file needs to go inside docs, not here, it's inside docs. So it needs to go inside docs folder, and then we need to call it build.bat. So this is the part that's a bit hard, right? The challenging part, but it's not too hard once you get used to it. So let's open the batch file. Yeah, just make sure you use the char array. Don't be like me. Don't try to use a string because the string is not gonna work. But it technically should have worked technically. But yeah, seems like it didn't want to work. So rem, you type in rem to put a comment. So in a batch file. So I'm gonna say type rem and say what's the first step? We need to create environment variables. So let me check the requirements of the practical. Mm, Bonus, submit a bonus separately. Create a batch file for compiling the C++ in the source folder, making sure the executable is in the bin folder. Or making sure, and then subsequently run the resulting exe. Okay. Here they didn't talk about the batch file, which is weird. Because how are you going to run the Java bytecode, the Java code without the batch file? Every submission must include the Java batch file, where you compile your Java source code, compile the associated application Java doc, run the application. Do not include generated Java doc in your submission. All classes must have blah blah. Okay. So we need to run our code, right? So this one they didn't talk about a lot of things. So environment variables, right? So I'm gonna say set I'm gonna say source should be equal to source folder, which is in small letters, right? So set bin folder is equals to bin in small letters. And then set data is equal to data in small letters because the folder itself is called data written in small letters. And then docs, which is the docs folder, which is written in small letters. And then lib, which is lib in small letters. So there's many ways you can structure your batch file, right? Your environment variables. There's many ways you can do that, but I'm gonna stick to this. Let's also create the environment variable for our Java home. It reminds me of TikTok. There's this sound about home. I forgot how it goes, but there's this sound about home. It reminds me of that TikTok sound. So I'm gonna copy the location of my JDK. For everyone, this is where the location of the JDK should be or is expected to be in. So make sure it's in your C drive and it's named, it is the folder for your JDK, it's named JDK minus or hyphen 21. And then you go inside the bin folder. For everyone, this line should be the same. This may differ based on your preferences. For example, some people might put a backslash on before every folder or after every folder, but then just know that backslash, since it's already there, you don't include it down there when you're compiling. So I have this, these are my environment variables, right? And then I'm going to, um, what is that? What is it called? Set the path, right? I'm gonna set the path. So set path is equals to percent path semicolon and then percent Java home. We talked about it in the previous video. I explained it thoroughly, so this line should make sense. So I'm updating the path variables, right? So update the path environment variables, right? So that it includes and set, right? When you use the keyword set, it does it temporarily, right? That means after I close the page file, everything goes back to the way it was. If you want to set it permanently, you can use set X. That's when you want to make permanent changes. So I'm just going to stick to set, to just use to set it temporarily, and then that's it. And then I'm going to compile and add my Java byte code to the bin folder. So I'm gonna compile my Java bytecode. I'm gonna compile Java, and then but you remember Java bytecode, right? It's everything that ends with the dot class. It's gonna be added into the bin folder. That's the requirement of the practical. If you check the practical, right? So let me see. Okay, just like the previous practical, go look at the previous practical. You'll see what I'm talking about. You need to update, you need to put in your Java bytecode inside the bin folder. It always goes in the bin folder. That's what the bin folder is for. Anything that's compiled is there. So I'm gonna use Java C to compile, which is Java C stands for Java compiler. So I'm calling the Java compiler. So Java C, Java compiler, compile, right? What am I compiling? I need to specify what I'm compiling. So if you noticed something, right? When I was compiling, it managed to find the files that I was looking for, right? So your main goal is to only compile the main.java. The main.java will find all the other Java files, the Java files that are linked to it, compile them, and then do everything that's supposed to do. If you remember very well, remember when I was running my code, right? Okay, it's inside the source folder. I was only running this, right? So I was only running this, and then it managed to find all the other files. So let's think about it. Where's the batch file? The important thing is to know where the batch file is located. It's inside the docs folder, right? So I need to move out of the docs folder. There's the batch file. So I need to move outside the docs folder, meaning that I'm gonna be within here, which is this location, right? And how do you move out of the folder? It's two dots. So two dots like this. Now I'm outside of the docs folder. Once I'm outside of the docs folder, I need to move into the source folder, right? So in the source folder is stored inside the environment variable source. After I've moved inside the source folder, I'm gonna put another backslash. Like I said, it's up to you how you structure your batch file, right? You can put backslashes here, but then just make sure you exclude them here if they're already included there. That's something that you should pay attention to. In my case, right, in my approach, I just put in the names, no backslashes. I'll put the backslashes manually. But you could add them as part of the environment variables values. You could do that. So once I'm in the source folder, I'm gonna find a file named main.java. That's the file I want to compile, right? After I found that file, the main.java file, it's gonna compile and generate what we call javadoc, or files that end in a .class extension. What I want to do is anything that's generated by running this command, anything new created by running this command should be redirected. That's why I put the greater than sign to say it should be sent into that direction. Where's the direction? And remember, every time you try to specify a location, always move out of the current folder because the batch file is currently somewhere, right? So you need to move out of there first. So I need to put in two dots to move out of the docs folder and then put the backslash. So this moves out of the docs folder. So I'm outside the docs folder, but I want to put it inside the bin folder. So I'm gonna put in the bin environment variable, which is this bin over here, which is just this value. It's just the fancy way of doing it. They just want to teach you batch files. And then I can put and then I put the closing backslash there. And then I'm done, right? This should compile and put everything there. But then now I need to run something that's inside this folder. So how do I do that? So run the Java bytecode. So how do I do that? I say Java to run, use the Java keyword to run any. So now I've compiled, right? I have Java bytecode, which is a file that ends in a .class extension. So now I need to run that file, but where do I find it? Well, if you remember the previous practical, you use this command -cp to specify the class path. Basically, the path where to find the .class file, they just call it class path. Class path or CP. So where is it located? So I'm telling Java to look for it inside before it looks for it. Remember, I'm currently the docs folder. Move out of the docs folder. Then after you move out of the docs folder, move into the bin folder. That's where you'll find it. This is where it is going to find anything that ends with the dot class, anything that ends with the dot class. And then I'm gonna specify its name. So I want to run the one of which its name is main. So meaning it's gonna look for something that's written main dot class. And you don't have to write it in full because it's gonna append a dot class for you. It knows what it's looking for. So you just only simply write main and then you're done. And then this should basically run everything. And then I can just pause, right, to see if everything went well. Okay, I'm just gonna use small letters in this tutorial. So pause to see if everything went well. So there's my batch file. So it's done. The batch file is done. So I'm gonna go inside source folder, docs folder, I mean, and then the time, right? Be sure to check the time. So if you look at this time over here, it's 1951. And what is the current time? 1951. So that means I have the latest version of the batch file. So that's something you should be very important. You should be very you should be aware of. So it does add JDK, that's fine. So compiling, it failed to, it cannot find the path specified. There is a bin folder though. How come you're saying it cannot find the path specified? That's one thing I hate about batch files. It's things like this. There's the file because it's currently inside docs folder, right? So I'm gonna move out of the docs folder and then go into there, but it seems like it's giving me issues. So let's see. Main folder. And let me just remove that. But then it's either way it should be fine. But let's see. Maybe it just doesn't like it. So let me go back here. 1952. So that's the latest version. Still, why is it saying access is denied? Hmm. Well, I think this is now an issue of folders, right? Yeah, I think I should move out of the OneDrive. Yeah, I think that's where the issue is now. Last time, where was the solution? I think it was on the desktop, right? So let's do that. Let me close this. Now I think it's an operating system issue. So let me copy this. Not sure, but we're just gonna try. And then I'm gonna put it in on the desktop, right? And then let's try it and see if I don't want the access denied issue thing. It still says access denied. Why is it denying me access? That's weird. Where was the access denied? That's new. I never thought it would give me an error like that. Let me see. Was that other practical inside downloads? No. No, it wasn't under downloads. Was it under documents? The solution that I had, why is it saying access denied? Access denied because I'm not doing anything unsafe. This is weird. This is a weird situation now. Access denied. How? Why? So it's only this part saying access denied. So let's see. So edit to Notepad plus plus. So let me see. It was working perfectly fine. And I had a similar solution, so it was working perfectly fine. So I don't know whether it's my laptop or what, but this is pretty much how you should compile it. This should work perfectly. Java C to compile, and then location is this. There's the file, and then whatever is returned by that file, put it inside the bin folder. So now okay, since I've been running, let me see if it does generate it. The folder is empty. So yeah, it's refusing to generate it, which is weird. It's very weird. Mm, let me see. Yeah, everything is fine. I don't know. You guys will test it by your side and let me know if it's working. Because for some weird reason, it tells me access denied. I don't know what access is it talking about. This is my laptop. What access do I need? Access, like, literally tells me access is denied. This is a weird error. But the batch file is correct. I'm gonna try and figure out what's going on with my laptop. I don't know what's the issue now. How come it's saying access denied? But yeah, this is pretty much the solution for this practical. And then the bonus, yeah, the bonus I'm not gonna that's for you guys to attempt. Since you guys have the whole solution now, you can attempt the bonus and practice on your own. But then the bonus is pretty similar, right? Remember, it's all about um batch files, right? Compiling. You see, they say create a batch file for compiling in the source folder, the C++ in the source folder, making sure the executable is in the bin folder, and then subsequently run the resulting exe. So basically, you're doing this thing that we did here, compiling and then sending what is compiled into the bin folder, which is basically this over here. The only difference is that you're going to say G++, and then that's the only difference. You're just going to say G++. And then when you compile, when you run, you're gonna, yeah, running that might be the problem, but that's something you can figure out. I can somewhat give you a solution. So to compile, you just write something like this. But then remember, yours is going to be main.cpp, and the file is a small let, but you see it's exactly the same thing. So you're gonna have to do that for that bonus, and then figure out the other parts. So yeah, that's pretty much it in today's tutorial. Please do not forget to subscribe. It's very important that you guys subscribe. Don't just watch. If my video was useful, then subscribe. And the solution will be posted, right? It's gonna be in the description. You're gonna look at the description of the video. You'll find the link to the solution to all of this code and the batch file. So that's it for today. Thank you for watching. See you next time.